Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to a News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Joseph Lopez. Let's take a look at the headlines. Government launches Hopper bus service in the education city of St. Augustine. Farmers of Egypt and Das Straits receive leases of official tenancy. And winners of TIC 2013 announced. In our top story, the Ministry of Tertiary Education and Skills Training launched its St. Augustine Education City Committee's Hopper bus service. This initiative will provide free transportation services to pupils in uniform, tertiary students with identification cards, and elderly persons residing and accessing tertiary education within the parameters of St. Augustine.
Free transportation will now be provided for students situated in the education city of St. Augustine. The service is as a result of a collaboration between the Ministry of Transport and the Ministry of Tertiary Education and Skills Training. The service will move along the Mount Hope to St. John's area. Pupils in uniform, tertiary students with institution ID, and elderly persons residing and accessing tertiary education within the parameters of the St. Augustine Education City will be privy to the service. The Hopper bus service can also be accessed at a subsidized fare of $3 to other residents or patrons within the city space. Tertiary and Skills Training Minister Fazal Karim says the introduction of this service will aid in making the access to education easier for students.
Why not improve the ease and access and relieve the burdens of the citizens in the St. Augustine Education City? How will we do that? I came up with 3 basic words. That this service will provide, number 1, a facility, the ease of burden for students, for the indigent, for the wayfarer, for the not so healthy. And that's one of the reasons why we are starting the service at the Mount Hope Medical Sciences Complex. And we are ending the service at the Mount Hope Medical Sciences Complex. I see the principal of the Heward Law School here as well, Mrs. Samaru. This facility will service all of these areas.
Chairman of the St. Augustine Education City Committee, Dr. Asad Mohammed, says enhancing public transport routes falls into the purview of development and land uses, and creating educational spaces works in tandem with this development land use policy.
Transportation and pedestrian needs are generated by land use. So in order to improve and minimize the need for transportation, we have engaged in a partnership with the Ministry of Planning and Sustainable Development. As we speak, a study is being done in the area jointly between the Ministry and our committee and the Ministry of Planning to do urban design and land use policies for the area. This will have a twofold purpose. The first one is to identify very clearly where student housing will take place and to make sure that we relate areas of concentration of student housing to the education facilities, so both the pedestrian and the transportation services can link directly and minimize the need for transportation.
St. Augustine Education City spans 12.2 square miles and is bordered by the Northern Range to the north, the Caroni River to the south, the Uriah Butler Highway to the west, and the Orange Grove Road to the east. Chairman of the Public Transport Service Commission, Dr. Vincent Lassie, says it's all about making transport more affordable.
The corporation took the lead in September 2010 to initiate a public transport service from San Fernando and connecting towns and villages to the University of the West Indies and surrounding educational institutions. We assigned a fleet of 3 buses to service the route, which continues to be heavily patronized and has positively impacted our students' access to afford an affordable transportation. The Hub bus facility is intended to accentuate the Education Cities project to facilitate this primary development environmental objective. The Board of Directors and management of PTSC are extremely proud to announce to the nation that the bus assigned to service the Education City route network will be CNG powered. This is in keeping with government's green initiative, which is designed, among other things, to reduce the levels of emissions into the environment.
St. Augustine is home to the University of the West Indies campus, together with the Arthur Lockjack Graduate School, the Cipriani Labour College, and several other private tertiary education institutes. Gregory McBurney, News 4.
Member of Parliament for Oropouche West, the Honourable Stacey Rupnarine, is reminding fathers of the critical role they play in their children's development. This is just one of the issues she addressed while hosting a Father's Day cricket competition in her constituency.
Bakal Recreation Ground was the location for one of the most highly anticipated annual cricketing competitions in Oropouche. The annual Father's Day cricket competition hosted by Oropouche West MP Stacey Rupnarine. MP Rupnarine says the competition is held to celebrate fathers as they play a critical role in the development of youth in this country.
I feel that fathers need to get more involved in the lives of their children. I feel that fathers need to become better role models, because at the end of the day, these little children really look towards a strong male figure in their life. And at the end of the day, we need to ensure that children remain on the right path and the straight and narrow path. And because of the number of negative influences in society today, it is critical that our male figures remain strong for the children of this country.
Meanwhile, speaking to the media following the cricket competition, the MP addressed flood concerns raised by residents of the constituency. The minister in the Ministry of Works says this is being addressed. Minister Rupnarine explains her ministry, in conjunction with the Ministry of the Environment and Water Resources, is continuing with aggressive flood mitigation and flood prevention methods.
We had a lot of drainage work done in this constituency. We had a number of river courses cleared through the Drainage Division, and we had a number of box drains implemented as well through the Ministry of Works, as well as the Pinal-Debe Regional Corporation and the Separia Regional Corporation. Flooding is a perennial problem. It is something that we need to prepare for, and at the end of the day, we need to ensure that we continue to decrease the level of flooding year after year. And I could tell you that in this constituency, we have seen a decrease in the level of flooding from 2010 to today, and I hope that these measures continue to be in place as we prepare for the rainy season this year.
She also addresses another critical problem which often occurs alongside flooding, that of landslides.
The ministry continues to look at innovative ways to continue to reduce these number of landslips, to continue to repair these landslips. At the end of the day, however, it is a problem of resources where we have to find a cost-effective solution to repair these landslips, because what you find happening is that in some areas where you repair one landslip, another landslip develops just a few feet away because of the type of terrain. So we are playing catch-up when it comes to landslips. We have spoken with the contractors to ask them to come up with new ways of repairing landslips that would be faster and more cost-effective.
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
After the break, farmers get leases of tenancy. Stay with us. Welcome back. Farmers of Egypt Trace and Das Trace and Enterprise Chaguanas were presented with their leases, stating their official tenancy of the lands for the purpose of growing crops. Food Production Minister Devant Maraj, in handing out the leases, says they will now be able to legally occupy lands, some 150 acres, for this specific period.
Central farmers received 30-year probationary tenancy agreements to occupy lands at Egypt Trace and Das Trace and Enterprise Chaguanas. Food Production Minister Devant Maharaj says the leases, while a short-term measure, will give the farmers legal rights to occupy the lands. He notes it will also aid as one of the ways government is seeking to reduce the food import bill.
We have probationary tenancy agreements to 33 farmers here this morning, and you all will be relocated from that, officially from Dash Trace, Egypt Trace, where you were occupying illegally, to now legally having some sort of title to the Subgroup Trace Enterprise Shogunas on a total of 115 acres. And these PTA agreements, as Mr. Fletcher indicated, would be initially for a 3-year period, probationary period, and once you have satisfied all the terms and conditions of the covenants in that PTA, you will be given a lease for 5 years in the first stage, up to 6 times, so over 30 years in total. So now you have security of land tenure with this PTA.
The minister notes these leases will also serve as collateral and allow the farmers to apply for grants provided by the ministry.
This marks really a period of over 8 months of work by ministry officials working on trying to get this probationary tenancy agreement so that to provide at least peace of mind to every farmer that you are occupying a piece of land legally. You will not have to worry again about a bulldozer coming to destroy your crops because you have some sort of legal entitlement to farm that land at this point in time. You can now legally register as a farmer because you have legal title to land. You didn't have that in Egypt Trace. You can access the incentive programs of the Ministry of Food Production legally, which will subsidize you. If you are affected by floods and so on, you can now benefit from the relief program of the ministry and technical support from the staff of the Ministry of Food Production.
Minister Maharaj says food production remains paramount to the government as it continues to distribute leases to farmers while it implements infrastructure to aid in the growing of their crops.
In 2008, only one single lease was given out to the farmers of Trinidad and Tobago. Compare that to 562 leases last year alone. So, in addition to that, and I've already indicated to Mr. Fletcher and the engineering department that you will now be on the radar for the Ministry of Food Production engineering department. So we'll be looking at your infrastructural development. So your roads, the access roads, because it makes no sense you're planting an area and you can't come out with your produce to have it sold.
Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
TNTEC has installed lights at yet another public recreation ground which seeks to facilitate safer communities and encourage exercise and youth activities.
Through the power of electricity via the National Public Lighting Program, TNTEC has facilitated better lives for thousands of citizens who are already benefiting from maximum use of their recreation facilities. Today, the Commission is proud to add the Crown Street Recreation Ground to this fast-growing list of illuminated grounds.
It was a day many residents thought would never have come. However, through the hard work of many, users of the Crown Street Recreation Grounds would now realize the full potential of the public space.
According to the Trinidad and Tobago 2011 Population and Housing Census, this region is the most populous in Trinidad with a total population of 215,119 persons. Already boasting a growth rate of 5% per annum, the communities that constitute the Tunapuna-Piako region are expected to expand even more with the establishment of new housing developments and commercial businesses.
Speaking on behalf of the Honourable Minister of Public Utilities, Mr. Jurwan highlighted some of the recent achievements of TNTEC under its public lighting program.
Over the past 5 months, TNTEC has lit more than 12 recreation grounds and 13 public spaces. The Commission is also planning and in some cases implementing work in more than 30 substations throughout Trinidad and Tobago.
Councillor for Five Rivers Lopino, Ms. Diane Bishop, noted the importance of the grounds to the constituents. She says for years it has been a cornerstone of the community, being stomping grounds for a number of public figures.
The Cane Farm Recreation Ground has been an important incubator of positive skill and talent for ages. Many a cricketer and footballer who have gone on to represent clubs, schools, and the nation have cut their teeth right here on this very ground. I recall names like Alec Burns, Billy Burns, Hugo Merredin, also known as Oscarby, Bob, a windball master, Lindell Simmons, and not the least, Stern John, all who have studied at the University of Cane Farm and who have graduated with honors.
The lights, which came at a cost of $945,000, were turned on and marked a shift in the limitations that the residents and especially the youths had to endure. Chairman of the Tunapuna Regional Corporation, Khadija Amin, called on the constituents to commit to working with the regional corporation to improve the lives of those in the area.
I trust that as Tunapuna Piako Corporation continues to improve the facilities within the region, and as we continue to help develop and maintain sporting facilities throughout, that you will partner with us in ensuring that these lights are put to best use.
Immediately after the lights were turned on, a football match kicked off as the sporting ground was buzzing with activity. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Sports is up next after the break. Stay with us. The West Indies' stint at the ICC Champions Trophy was a brief one. After going into the tournament as one of the favourites, Dwayne Bravo and his men were ousted at the group stage. Correspondent Ken Tyson is in the United Kingdom for the tournament, and he sums up the West Indies' campaign in this commentary.
The onside mid-wicket area. What about this time? Just stand up on top of the bounce.
Consistently inconsistent, shambolic. Are just some of the ways to describe the West Indies' performance at the ICC Champions Trophy. The Caribbean side entered this tournament as one of the favourites to lift the cup. And why not? With Mohan Samuels, Karen Pard, the two Bravos, Ravi Rampal. They started positively, defeating Pakistan, albeit unconvincingly. But then the tournament went downhill. Batting at 103 for 1. The Windies collapsed to 233 for 9, and then they were blown away by the Indians. They suffered a heartbreak tie against South Africa when they had to battle against the weather. So what went wrong for the Caribbean side? Is it a lack of talent? The answer is no. The game is first played in the brain upstairs, and that's what we lack as a cricketing nation. Not understanding the importance of turning over the strike, manipulating the field, run rates, bowling a consistent line. It is not so much talent, it is more cricket intelligence. So, the West Indies will have to go back to the proverbial drawing board. Better luck next time. For News 4, this is Kern Tyson reporting from London, England.
Thank you, Kern. After the break, the winners and fashion show closing of TIC 2013. Stay with us. Welcome back. Consumers at the Trade and Investment Convention 2013 were privy to a mini fashion show that featured some of the country's top designers. This was part of the government's thrust to develop the local fashion industry and package it for export.
The Trade and Investment Convention 2013 was not only limited to the strict transactions of business. Among the other features, the Fashion Industry Development Company held a fashion show as a side event that attracted many budding and experienced designers. There were 8 capsule collections on show that each featured 4 looks. The first model of each designer cloaked in the theme of the FIDC Symphony of Sky and Sea. First was renowned designer Claudia Pegas. Then it was on to Kaj Designs. Next was Anna White's collection. It was now time for the fashion entrepreneurs of Trinidad and Tobago to take the catwalk.
As crazy as we might seem to be, we still fight to be a family.
Christian Buku then wowed the audience. Then Delia Allen. Followed by Sharon Christopher. The mini fashion show then ended with Heather Jones' collection. Meanwhile, special prizes were distributed to exhibitors for their various booths. The Ministry of Trade, Industry and Investment copped the prize for Best Pavilion for its Trade and Investment Boulevard, which was used to highlight the ministry's state agencies, including Export TT, Invest TT, Exim Bank, Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards, and ETEC, as well as the fashion and food beverage industries. The pavilion category was also represented by the Embassy of the Argentine Republic, the Federative Republic of Brazil, Telecommunication Services of Trinidad and Tobago, and TTMA's Value Chain Project, second-place winners with large exhibits across the trade show floor. Other notable winners at TIC 2013 were Lifetime Roofing Solutions for Best Large Booth, followed by Angostura Limited. The Tobago House of Assembly Division of Tourism and Transport was the winner of Best Standard Booth, and Sasha Cosmetics as runner-up. The event ended on an excellent note, with all buyers and consumers pleased with the setup and execution of TIC 2013. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
And that story brings us to the end of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Joseph Lopez. Thank you for watching.